Whoa. Whoa. Ladies and gentlemen, boys and girls, I give you Death Parade. Whoa. That's right. That's right. I have now caught up with the Death Parade anime. And in this video, I'm going to review all 5 series episodes that came out. And yes, I am going to be doing weekly reviews of this anime because it's really good. So, let's start off with review episode 1, and we'll go from there because I'm really loving this, and I can't wait for the next episode to come out. Episode 1, we get introduced to, I guess you could call him the main character, Decim, and we get to see how this particular series works. It works with games, and these aren't regular games. These are games where you put your lives at stake, I suppose, but the people who take these games come through an elevator. And at first, they don't know how they got there. They don't know anything about this place. But they start getting memories. As soon as they play the games, their memories vividly start coming back until they can put one and one together. And they find out that they're dead. And they're playing these games so their true darkness and their heart is flushed out by the Arbiter, which is Decim in this case. There are many more Arbiters like him, but in this case, it's Decim. So, in the first episode, we get introduced to first people we get to see judged is a newlywed couple. People by name of Takashi, I believe. Takashi and Machiko. And we find out slowly and surely that they died in a car wreck. Machiko texts it on the phone. Takashi wants to know who it is, and they run off a cliff and they kill. They both die. Along with Machiko and her kid. Yo, dude. So many twists and turns. Like, yo, in the beginning, he's like, he remembers the new, oh, dude, he has so many suspicions that she's an affair from what he's heard from her friends at the wedding, and the fact that he thinks the baby's not his, and she turns around and says, no, who they're talking about, my friend that I told you I seen on the wedding day that I hadn't seen in years, because she married a doctor, because they said that he was thinking they were talking about her because they were talking about how she married a doctor, and he is a doctor. But apparently her friend also as well married a doctor a few years beforehand. So, that's established, and yo, they're playing darts. Are you serious? This isn't a regular game of darts. They have, like, the board has a specific part of the body, and whatever your dart hits, that person feels, and depending on the points, it gets worse or less. For example, he hit, I believe, a single point on the shoulder, and Machiko felt a little bit of pain. Save for Machiko, she threw one, and she hit, I believe, the lungs. It was on one point, and he felt pain in there. It wasn't too much. And then she hits a double point on the eyes, and we see the effect on that. Like, this guy's out of control and pain. And, like, not only that, but they keep asking Decim these questions, and Decim, he can't answer that. He can answer a little bit, but he can't answer most of them. And it's not that he don't want to answer, he's not allowed. This is part of his job. And everything, just so many twists and turns, and at the end, I believe, Machiko wins, I believe, because she gets the bullseye of the heart. Yeah. She walks away, because she walks away. He's on the, like, Takashi goes insane. I guess motherfucker's playing with this spit. And she's like, you're right. I have an affair. This ain't your baby. I don't love you. I married you for your money, obviously. She's like, how could anyone love you? Cold ass shit. Like, he goes to fucking Russia for that. And fucking Decim strings on some Doflamingo type shit. Stops him. Like, pretty much, I don't know if he kills him, but I think he knocks him out. And he puts him back in the elevators, and apparently, the wife goes to hell, and Takashi goes to heaven. Because the arbiters who are Decim are the people who judge who goes to heaven and hell. Very weird. Very weird. I gotta check something. Alright. That's episode 1 in a nutshell. And episode 2, very interesting. Very interesting. We're pretty much watching episode 1 again, but we're watching through, I believe, the manager of the arbiters. Her name is Nona. And she's taking this black hair girl. She doesn't have a name. We don't know anything about her. Anything at all. She like wakes up in the bed of leaves and Nona's right over her. And she's going to be Deckham's assistant. And they're like, another thing I've forgotten, episode 1, when they sit there and say, what happens if we refuse to play? Deckham just opens this thing, and what it looks like there's bodies hanging there. Well, we find out in episode 2, they're just dummies. It's a habit. It's a weird habit that Deckham has. It's a hobby. He likes dummies. And they're sitting in the back behind the glass with the dummies as he opens the door for that couple. And what's really interesting in this episode is the black-haired girl tells them, after he judges them, after Deckham judges them, that the Machiko was lying. She was lying to make Takashi feel better, because he felt bad because he killed his wife and his unborn child. So she lied to him to make him feel better. That way he wouldn't have to feel terrible for even if it was less than the pain, just a little bit. To make him feel a little bit better before they went their separate ways, which I think it made it worse because, I don't know, because it made it not his child, and where said she's having an affair, where the black girl says she did it once, but she felt awful for it. So, but she did say she thought the kid was Takashi's, which it probably was, we don't know. And that's when we get her, she's like, pretty much becomes his assistant in that episode, and that's where that one pretty much ends. And also we meet Clovis. I guess he's the guy who operates the elevator for the arbiters, I'm guessing. He's pretty silly. And that's pretty much the episode. And Deckham sees that he got a judgment probably wrong, and he felt really bad for it because he messed up. So yeah, pretty much that's episode 2 in a nutshell. Then we hit to episode 3, which was my personal favorite. Oh, the 5 I've watched so far, because it's really sad. It's really heartwarming, but it's sad at the end as well, and I loved it. We're introduced to Shigeru, and who we think at the time is Chisato, I believe. They were childhood friends. Chisato moved away. He hadn't seen her. When he first meets her, he feels like he knows her, and they play their game, and they get bullying. And this isn't like the darts. This is not like the darts. This isn't pain. They're just having fun. But what's really weird is the bowling balls have each other's hearts, and they're bowling with each other's hearts. They can feel the pulse. They can feel how warm it is, all that good stuff. It's really weird, but it's also heartwarming at the same time because they're having fun bowling, getting to know each other. And they're slowly getting these memories back. Shigeru finally asked her, will you go on a date with me if I win this? Because they don't know they're dead yet. They don't know. She said, yeah, I'm going to date with you if you win. And she said, I'm going to throw a gutter ball last one so I can go on a date with you. And right when he bowls his last one, he has another flashback. Because he remembers, she used to work at the bowling alley, okay? She used to work in the bowling alley, and like, he always wanted to talk to her, and his friends were like, hey, that's the girl. Like, apparently she got certain, this is not Chisato, alright? This is one of his other childhood friends that didn't leave. But this Mai got a surgery. Well, hold on. Oh, yeah, Mai got a surgery to look like Chisato, like, really. Because she loved Shigeru, but Shigeru never noticed her. He always liked Chisato, so she got a surgery to look like Chisato, so he would recognize her, and apparently it worked. And the last thing he remembers is he's on the bus ready to talk to her, and then they get in a wreck. And that's when he realizes they're dead. That's when he's all slumped, he doesn't care. And he doesn't tell her. He doesn't tell her until she bowls a gutter ball. And Deckham and the black girl come up, and he's like, I get it, we're dead, aren't we? I'm fine with that. And they pretty much accept they're dead. And they're getting judged. And they ask Deckham, can they have at least some time to go on a date? You know, and I thought it was cool. Deckham gives them all the time in the world they need before they get judged to have some time together. I thought that was awesome. I'm glad there's no restrictions. You can make as much as you can with them as most time as you want before you go somewhere else. And what's cool, we find out in this episode that it isn't always the one gets reincarnated. Well, One doesn't get reincarnated, one goes to the void, because we find out Decking just calls it heaven and hell because that's what humans call it. Heaven is actually the reincarnation, and hell is a black nothingness of a void where you can't escape. But yeah, this is the first episode where we've seen that it's not always the case, because they both get reincarnated, which is, it's sad when they leave, because when they're going through the thing, because when she was a kid, she had droopy eyes. She got surgery to have it fixed. As soon as she I thought that was an amazing part of this episode. When she's going through the elevator, one of her eyes droops like it used to be. Half of it's surgery, half of it's normal. And it makes more sense because when she wakes up, she doesn't know her name, she doesn't know who she is. And that's so much more symbolic, how with the surgery, she wanted to be someone else other than who she was. Because it wouldn't have made no difference in the end, because her and Shigeru got along just well. They would have had a strong relationship either way. And it's just sad because when they leave each other, they know they're going to be somebody, their soul's going to be in someone else's body. But it's also bittersweet because still in the end, they get reincarnated. They both get to go to heaven. So it was a heartwarming episode. I love that episode. It's one of them nice feeling episodes. So we go to episode 4. This one, not so much. Not so much, yo. We get introduced to Misaki, who is she's a reality star. And we have Yosuke, who is pretty much a nerd and a weirdo who likes figurines and shit. And we find out Misaki, she has a bad habit. She's in middle school, and she has sex in the bathroom and has a kid. Gets with that guy she had a kid with, and he beats the hell out of her. Has sex with another guy, has more kids. He beats the hell out of her. So she has this repeating cycle of getting with guys that beat her. And she's a single mother with 5 kids. That's very difficult. Another thing I want to put in it, I forgot to add, arbiters. They can see people's memories. Like as soon as the people are coming towards them, all their memories go into their head. That way they know specific parts of their life, parts leading up to their death, and all of this. So when they get there, Dekim already knows a lot about them. He knows their memories, he knows everything. Yosuke, his mother, I guess, left him when he was young. She called him worthless. She wished he was never born. She wished he was never born. Just really fucked up shit. And she gets a divorce with her dad. He goes with his dad, obviously, for obvious reasons. He gets remarried. He has another woman in his life. She's trying to open up to Yosuke. Yosuke doesn't want nothing to do with her. He's a very closed up person. While they're eating in the kitchen, he's eating in his room. He's by himself. He's not antisocial. He's an antisocial person. And when they get there, Misaki thinks they're in a reality TV show. She tells them just play along. And their game is the arcade. They're playing a fighting game against each other. It's his avatar versus her avatar. And they're fighting each other. Yosuke, obviously, is a good gamer. So he's beating Misaki quite easily. Beats her in the first round. She tells him to throw the next game. He throws the next game. And she pretty much assumes that Dekim is like one of them. Whoever loses is going to die. I gotta say this about Dekim. Dekim was dirty as fuck in this episode. Like usually he's not involved in this at all. He's dirty as fuck. He has a button. He presses that shit because in the second round, once Yosuke tries to go into it, because he's letting her take him halfway, he starts coming back and wants to win. Dekim fucking presses a button where his knob of his controller pops off, and he still loses. Dirty as fuck. And his only excuse is this gives more controversy. It's really dirty. And even the black girl even said, this is fucked up. She takes her and she's like, give me that. This is fucked up. You don't do this. It's disgusting. And he says, well, it brings the darkness out of people. And she's like, well, you don't always need to see the darkness. The darkness shouldn't be the only thing that gets them judged. And she has a good point. I really like that. But like I said, Misaki assumes that whoever loses dies, so she gets really scared. She goes against Yosuke one more time. And before that, they go in the bathroom and have a little talk. She wants to win and all that shit. Anyway, they go out there. Misaki goes, and she's losing badly to Yosuke. She's she's trying her, like, she gets this attack. Their finishers are really sad. Her finisher is her children. They come in there. Most of the children don't do shit because it it, it symbolizes the love they have for their mom. They just, I don't want to say they hate their mother, but they don't have very much love for her because she negates them a lot. She just neglects them, doesn't care. Uh, and except the one child who does do damage is the baby, and the baby just baby's on top of Yosuke like, yeah, just fucking choking the shit out of him. And on Yosuke's character's finishing move was even worse because it seemed like before that, like, not even, before even the child thing happened, he's beating her. When the knob pops off, all you see is like fucking her bashing his head into the monitor. Like, she bashes the fuck out of his head in the monitor, and he passes out. And she goes over and starts finishing. She feels bad because Decking's like, finish the game. And she's going to press the buttons, like pressing a button at a time, because she's feeling really bad because she thinks Yosuke's gonna die now. Yosuke gets back up, starts fighting back, and that's when she uses the child attack, and that's when Yosuke's attack comes out. He remembers, he has a flashback of his stepmother. She tells his father, she's like, the only wish I have is for Yosuke to call me mama. And then his finishing attack is his stepmother, who comes out and just starts fucking throwing pies. fucking Misaki. And he starts crying, and he says mama. And it's sad. It's really sad. And they both end up double KOing each other to draw. And just before Dekim's getting ready to judge them, because fucking Misaki rushes Dekim, he gets her in the fucking wires. And we find out how these guys died. Fuck, Jesus Christ. Misaki was killed by her manager because she smacked the fuck out of her for some odd reason. Like, she didn't tell her about something. She gets on the phone telling her children, I'm not going to be home tonight. She don't give a fuck. But her manager chokes her to death. Yosuke, an antisocial person who is very depressed, commits suicide by jumping out of his 2-story window. And he's crying. He's like, why did I commit suicide? Why did I do it? And Misaki's sitting there yelling at Deck, and she's like, I won't be back with my children. I was just starting to get everything. I was poor. I didn't have nothing. had 5 kids. And now I got this big break, and I can finally feed them and get to have a happy life with them. And she's crying. She's like legitly crying her eyes out. And Yosuke's crying. He's like, why did I kill myself? I couldn't even accomplish one request and call my stepmother a mama. I couldn't open up to her. I couldn't be with her. And they both start crying their eyes out, and it's really heartwarming in the end. Dekim holds them both in his arms. He's holding them both in his arms and telling them that I can't speak English. It's just heartwarming because he holds them both in his arms, and he's telling them how they did very well, and he's proud of them. That was very heartwarming, how he just held them in his arms. He held both of them and he felt sympathy for him. You can tell there's character development for Dekim right there. It's not always in white and black as Dekim sees. And it's that was pretty heartwarming. But in the end, unfortunately, Misaki goes to the void, goes to hell. Yosuke, thankfully for him, gets reincarnated, so he gets a second chance at life. But the sad thing is, he still won't be able to fulfill that need for his stepmother. That is the sad thing. And then we finally moved to episode 5, the most updated episode. No games in this one, because apparently Dekim has a day off. Dekim and Blackhair Girl have a day off. What we think they're going to have guests. Of course, when it first starts, Blackhair Girl said she has a dream. It's pretty much like someone reading her a book. She wakes up, and the next day she's in the the bar, and Dekim's putting a picture up of a girl from the book of the dream she had. And it's, I believe it's Nona's book. So we can assume from this point, Blackhair Girl, Ginty even says that, why is she here? We'll get to Ginty in a second. But Dekim says, when she first came, she knew she was dead. She refused to play games. She knew she was dead, so he couldn't judge her. So he erased her memories and gave her to Nona. And we see that I'm guessing he put her in that bed of leaves, and I'm going to guess that Nona was reading her a book while she was unconscious, which is why she's remembering all this. And she's going to be his assistant until she can be judged properly. So that's the deal with the black hair girl. We don't know her name, don't know nothing. Anyway, we go and they get these two visitors. The black hair girl says, "You want me to welcome them?" He goes, "No, not this time. Something feels weird. Something feels off." And it's a kid and an older man. And they come up there, and the older guy, it seems like he's been here before. He's been here. He knows Dekim. He doesn't know his name, but he tells him, "I've seen you before. I know the way you talk." And when I first seen this, my first thought was, well, this guy was probably here before as someone else and got reincarnated as this guy and came back. So that's what I assumed. And this little kid obviously never been here. Not the case. The fat older guy, was a dummy with false memories, and a little kid who knocked out black hair girl, like he put her to sleep. He is another arbiter called Ginty. And Ginty reminds me a lot of fucking Renji from Bleach. Like, he looks just like Ginty, dude. Ginty. And there's an actual fight in this episode. Whoa, there's an actual fight between Dekim and Ginty. Alright. I didn't expect that to happen. Did not expect a fight in this series. But it was actually pretty interesting. I liked it. I liked it a lot. Animation was good. Ginty gets up and he's like a waterbender on some Avatar shit. He pops up 2 bottles and water comes out, and he makes like water balls, and they attack Dekim. Dekim uses strings, blocks the water balls quite nicely, picks up all the furniture in the room, and he starts throwing it at Ginty, and Ginty's like dodging all this, coming in, before he can hit fucking Dekim, Nona, like fucking JBL, fucking gone, like on some WWF shit. Clothesline. And Nona's powers are very interesting. I don't know if she can take away people's like life or their power or energy or something, or give it back. I don't know, but it seems like she knocked out Ginty. He was just out. He was like just out. And when she puts her hand back on him, her bracelet lights up, and he's revived. So I don't know if it has something to do with the bracelet. I don't know what her power is. It's very interesting. But we've seen that Dekim has the day off. He has no visitors. But Ginty, as Clovis tells him, you got visitors today. You got judgments to make. So I'm guessing next episode we want to go to Ginty and how he works, how he operates, how he does the things, which is going to be a lot more barbaric than Dekim. That pretty much comes to the part of the fight and all that right there, that scene. But before that, we see Nona. She's playing pool, billiards, whatever you want to call it, with this guy called Oculus. And he's pretty much the head honcho in this whole thing. He's the head honcho. He even says, "I'm the closest thing to God there is here." And apparently, like, they're playing pool, and Nona, we find out, has been a manager for 82 years. She's probably been an arbiter even longer. And apparently she always beats Oculus at these games. And Oculus is like, "How do I not win? How do I always lose?" Nona's like, "How about you just ask God about that?" And what's interesting, what Oculus says, he's like, "Look, God's been long gone." Now, I don't know to assume if God just left. He's gone. He left it to these guys to judge the humans. Or if that's just a form of expression. It could be. But if it was to be the earlier, that God did leave, and he went to go do something else, and he left this shit for the humans, not the humans, but the arbiters to take care of the humans. That's very interesting. Very interesting. And the bull taper, I've got to say, they're playing with the planets and the whole solar system, the Milky Way. Like, the sun is the cue ball, and like every time they knock one in the hole, it actually represents the solar system, how it is. And I thought that was cool. That was really cool. Like, their pool sticks are like lightsabers and shit. I like that. I like that a lot. Yo, beastly. And then the last person we get met to, Nona visits, is Kostra. She is the one who manages the deaths of the world, I believe, or it's Japan. I'm gonna guess the world. Because she said 7,000 are dying by an hour, so that makes more sense of world-like. I can't see that happening in Japan. I'd be like, Jesus Christ. But yeah, I'm guessing she monitors the whole world in deaths. and she's pretty cool. I like her. I like her a lot, actually. I like their little skull mask she has on. Pretty cool. But that's pretty much the episode there. I guess the next episode we're going to be going to Ginty and how he runs things. I'm hoping that's where we get to. I want to see Ginty, how he runs his judgments, how his games work, if they're the same games. And just in overall, I want to see how he's like when it comes to judgments, how stern he is, how strict he is. I'm going to guess he's very strict, because he wants the black-haired girl judged immediately. And another thing I want to put up there, the black-haired girl does bring an amazing aspect to this, because she's changed Dekim's thought of judgment, because Dekim doesn't understand humans that well. He's been doing this for 5 years. We find out in this episode. He's been doing this for 5 years, and like he's never thought a human would lie. He even says, "Why lie when you're already dead? There's no point to that." But a black-haired girl's a human. She can understand this. So sometimes it's better for a human to judge a human than a superior being who isn't a human to judge human. That's very nice shit they had right there. So yeah, overall I'm done. Tell me what you liked about the episodes overall. I'm going to be doing episode 6 when it comes out. I'm going to continue reviewing this series because I love it. It's pretty good. And I will see you guys in the next one. As always, make sure to comment, rate, subscribe. And as always,